USA Ultimate is proud to present the 2014 USA Ultimate College National Championship. And this is the first men's semifinal of the day between Oregon Ego and Colorado Mamabird from Mason High School Stadium in Mason, Ohio. A look at the Final Four in the men's bracket. Oregon, Colorado here later tonight. North Carolina against UNC Wilmington. The winners meet up tomorrow afternoon in the national championship game. Alongside Evan Leffler, I'm Wayne Randazzo. And Evan, two great women's semifinal matchups today. Now the men take their turn.
Yeah, this has the potential to be the game of the tournament. A lot of symmetry to last year. Oregon was the #1 seed with the Callahan Award winner and got knocked off in the semis by the 4. This year, Colorado trying to protect home serve as the 1. Jimmy Mickle earlier today named the 2014 Callahan Award winner. He's trying to win a national championship to complement the Callahan.
And the 2013 Callahan Award winner in this game, too, from Oregon, as Dylan Freechild and Brian Penner lead Ego.
Well, Brian Penner, the nominee this year, in large part because Dylan won it last year. Penner, a huge piece to Oregon's offense, a key spirit guy for them, makes a difference. But the story for Ego is Dylan Freechild, one of the most explosive players in the game. Gets most of his yardage from upline cuts, but don't be fooled by his smaller size compared to Jimmy Mickle. He can go up for the disc, too.
Mamabird, #1 in the tournament. Jimmy Mickle, a big reason why.
Well, Colorado's had a great program for many, many years. Josh Richter-Ackley won a Callahan. The coach for Colorado, Jim Shetler, won a Callahan playing at Stanford. And now Jimmy Mickle next in line. A versatile threat. His throws are unparalleled, but he also is unbelievably athletic. And, you know, people just describe him as powerful. I think that's the best word. He just plays the game in such a powerful way. The National Player of the Year, but it won't mean as much if they can't take home the title, too.
Mickle and Mamabird, Freechild and Ego. It's the men's semifinal. Oregon against Colorado coming up next. The USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by the Discraft Ultrastar, official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, America's most competitive and prestigious series of ultimate tournaments. The US Open Ultimate Championships and Convention, a gathering of the international ultimate community to celebrate character, community, and competition this July 4th weekend in the Twin Cities. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of ultimate in the United States. To learn more about Ultimate or find out where to play in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Ready to go in Mason, Ohio for the first men's semifinal. Oregon will start it off with Charlie Wilson-Moses, Callahan Award winner in 2013, Dylan Freechild, Gabe Fruchter with Connor Matthews, also a cutter, Ian Campbell, Trevor Smith, Jack Slevin for Jay Janen's squad. Ego. Colorado with Mark Rolls, Hida Sneeder, Tim Morrissey, Jimmy Mickle, the 2014 Callahan Award winner, Peterson, Janis, and Gleason for Jim Shetler's club. And this one should be a good one between Oregon and Colorado in this men's semifinal. What you need to know about Ultimate, well, there's 7 players on each side. First team to 15 wins. 8 goals from one team takes us to halftime. The disc may advance in any direction. Players can't run with the disc. They have 10 seconds to pass it, and they're self-officiating.
Observers will settle disputes, but for the most part, the game will be decided on the field. I expect the observers to be somewhat involved in this one. These are two rivals. Now, it's funny. Freechild and Mickle are really good buddies. They've played together on national teams, on the Next Gen Tour. I talked to both of them about one another this week. They have a great respect and appreciation. I know Dylan is really happy that Jimmy won the award. He thought he deserved it, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to beat him today. You know, these two teams played perhaps the game of pool play last year in Madison. On Friday morning, Jimmy Mickle nearly carried Colorado to the upset.
We take a look at the last 5 Callahan winners, 2 of them on the field today. Jimmy Mickle for Colorado, Freechild for Oregon, Nick Lance in 2012 at Georgia Tech, George Stubbs, and Eli Friedman also winning the Callahan representing Oregon in 2010. The pull from Colorado, and we are underway in the first men's semifinal. Ego with possession to start. And for Ego today, a win over Texas, 15-10, and now an injury right away as Gabe Fruchter goes down at his knee. go out from underneath them, and a tough start for Oregon. And it is not a very pretty picture as Fruchter got his cleat caught in the turf. If you're a little squeamish, you may want to turn away as we're going to show you this replay one time and one time only.
I'm a little squeamish, but I'm going to look, and hopefully I can make it through. Oh, God.
A major hyperextension of the leg. And Fruchter's down, and you always fear the worst when you see something like that. ACL, MCL injuries, complete tears.
This is unbelievable. Literally the very first throw of the game. Fruchter, a great deep cutter, a senior, such a key part of this Ego squad.
He walks off on his own power, which is impressive after how badly it looked on the replay. 6'4" senior out of Mercer Island, Washington. Doesn't mean he'll be back in there today or even tomorrow if Oregon does advance. And a tough injury for Fruchter, who is a major in Romance languages, as he walks off the field here. And now Oregon will maintain possession. Brian Penner, the Callahan nominee this year for Ego, replacing Fruchter.
That is just shocking. You know, both teams, it's tough to deal with something like that. You're so amped up to play. And now all of a sudden, okay, guys, turn that intensity back on again. It's just not that easy.
Wilson Moses facing a side force, able to get rid of it.
This is Freechild.
Freechild flicks it ahead, gets it back in the end zone, and Freechild on the second effort couldn't reach it.
I'm not sure there's somebody better at the throw and go in the college game today than Dylan Freechild. And this is just a very rare miscue. He almost kept it alive. Certainly not how Oregon planned to start this game, with one of its top players going down and then turning it over in the end zone. And here's a deep shot looking for Mickle.
Another try, Mickle's got it.
Connor Matthews did all he could, and it didn't matter.
Mamabird on the board first. Jesse Fisher with the goal.
Now the observers haven't signaled the goal yet. Colorado started to rush the field.
And it looks like they're actually going to pull this one back. Take a look at Mickle again, going up twice.
Connor Matthews. He can play for my team anytime. Look at that vertical.
The observers getting involved for the first time. The crew in orange in this self-officiating game. They
where you were on the catch. Where you were on the catch.
Make sure that everybody plays it right down the middle.
So it'll stay with Mickle. The pick on in the aftermath. Connor Matthews, an 18-year-old freshman, okay, trying to battle the Callahan Award winner Greg Connolly, Mitch Dengler, Keith Temple, Steve Wang. Experienced group of observers at the helm of this one.
Mickle trying to put Colorado on the board. Instead, he'll dump it off to Pavel Janis. Now Mickle looking Janis's way again.
Not in. Inbounds, but not in the end zone.
So it is a catch, and right on the goal line, Colorado with a chance. Janis will shoot it back out to Mickle. Mamabird wants the space. And a goal for Colorado on the board with Denny Beaches.
Denison Beaches, a senior. This is a veteran team that doesn't have a single freshman on it. And they're a smaller team than they were last year. Everybody has a role. They've tried to keep everybody involved. A clear #1 team during the regular season. You know, Colorado only lost 2 times, both on March 2nd, against North Carolina and against Stanford at the Stanford Invite. Denny Beaches coming to Boulder from Princeton, New Jersey. And he's always running. He never stops running. And if you have the endurance and you have the speed, you can play this game for a long time as a confident cutter.
Colorado strikes first. They won the New Year's Fest earlier this year, the President's Day invite. They won at Centex. I mentioned those 2 losses in the Stanford invite, but Mamabird undefeated in this pool play until they did lose to San Diego.
Here's Gabe
As you
Fruchter.
see Fruchter going off after twisting his knee up on the first throw of the game. Fruchter being carted back to the locker room. So now Oregon takes over again, and a huck attempt. That's knocked away. Great effort by the Colorado defense.
It's hard to believe this is just the second point of the game, because that's another unbelievable D downfield.
Colorado goes deep downfield, and they connect with Stanley Peterson. And it looks like a timeout will be called here by Mamabird.
That's their first timeout of the half.
As we take a look at how Colorado did get to this point, they beat Michigan in the quarterfinals earlier today, 13-10, a first-round bye, winning Pool A. They did have that hiccup against San Diego, but wins over Harvard, Eastern Michigan, and Wisconsin for Mamabird.
Some really good games. That Colorado-Harvard game was really exciting. The Colorado-Wisconsin game, I mean, those are 2 of the preeminent programs in college ultimate as well. But, you know, Colorado, I don't put a ton of stock into the loss to San Diego. It was a game in which they had already clinched the top spot. But, you know, I did hear some people talking that there was a little concern that Colorado as the 1 seed was not as dominant as perhaps they expected them to be. They weren't just blowing teams out of the water. Doesn't mean they can't win the whole thing, but they made it hard for themselves, maybe force themselves to play a few more points in those early pool play games.
Colorado vertically stacking the offense. What advantage does that give them?
Well, they're trying to create space both on the open side, which will be the flick side, and the break side backhand. It's an easy break. Oh, goodness.
And now Pavel Ganis goes down. Another cleat stuck in the turf. We just saw Fruchter on Oregon get hurt. And now
these teams have played on grass all through the first couple days of the tournament, but we didn't see any issues with the turf in the women's games. And now Pavel Janis, one of the captains, is going to come off the field. This is a guy who was starting in the O-line as a freshman, throw-and-go type handler. You know, Jim Shetler told me about a year ago, said, if Jimmy Mickle's the power of our offense, then Pavel Janis is the engine that keeps it going and provides the fuel, moves the cylinders. Brian
so as
Penner
Janis
comes
leaves
back
the
on.
game, yeah, Brian Penner coming back in for Oregon. Colorado gets to make a substitution, so does Oregon. Freechild turns it over. And now Ego runs with it.
This is a cool matchup right here. Mickles guarding Freechild, the last 2 Callahan Award winners, and 2 very good friends.
Nice grab by Penner. Flicks it forward. And now trying to zing it through was Garrett Chappell, but he got interrupted.
Well-timed poach by Tristan Voss sneaking in.
Voss playing catch with Andrew Commander, and now Commander forces it up to Jack Barrow. Barrow looks for the goal line, can't find it. Intended for Mickle. And Oregon will get it back. Seems like these 2 teams are just trying to feel each other out early.
Well, both making uncharacteristic mistakes. This is not part of the plan, but it's been a disjointed start with the Fruchter injury, then the timeout. Deep shot for Freechild.
Freechild waiting for it to float his way, and it got knocked away. A lot of air on that one. Freechild waited as long as he could to make the leaping try. By the time he did, 2 Mamabird players near him.
And Mickle overcoming the gap, forced Freechild to go up earlier. And the dual defense from Mickle and Morrissey. Tim Morrissey might be the most overlooked player on Colorado. That was a full field huck, 70 yards from the front of one end zone to the other. And Morrissey, like Mickle, plays for the Denver club team, Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo is going to be really good this fall, picking up former Florida national champ Kurt Gibson, some other key acquisitions made by Bravo as they get ready to go to Worlds, and before that, the U.S. Open in the Twin Cities of Minnesota of July 4th weekend.
Andrew Commander looking for a toss. It's to Stanley Peterson. Now Peterson up ahead to Mickle. Looking for the end zone. They find it. A score for Colorado. Todd Wolma gets the goal. Two quick ones from Mamabird.
That was the play of the point. Peterson just kept it alive in bounds, and then a simple dump swing and race into the front cone of the end zone. This team has so many veteran players. Wolma, another senior, Littleton, Colorado native. Now, this is a huge game for Colorado and for Jimmy Mickle. He's a grad student now. This is his 5th year. A lot of these guys, this is their last chance, and you know, both Mickle and some of the other Colorado players feel like they underperformed last year, you know, with the talent that they had. Results were too inconsistent. They felt the results didn't match the talent. And while they've been the #1 seed and they've been fairly convincing here at Nationals, I think they definitely were among the top, you know, 2 or 3 teams the first couple of days. They didn't stand out as the clear #1. This is their chance to make a statement. And if they come out and rout Oregon, message received. You know, Oregon is a team, even with Gabe Fruchter down, it has some depth, and it has Dylan Freechild.
On the pole, Oregon will try to get on the board. Colorado with the first 2 goals in this one. Mentioned the Fruchter injury that really set Eagles' offense aside on their first possession. I'll try to get Dylan Freechild involved here.
Here he is.
Freechild up ahead, a nice grab by Harker on the run. Now Harker goes deep. A man open and a catch for the score. Ian Campbell on the toss from Slevin. And Ego strikes.
It was great talk on the Little Ultimate with Dylan Freechild earlier this week, and he told me that Jack Slevin has really stepped up this year. 20-year-old sophomore has filled some of the roles that, you know, some of the vacated guys, Camden Allison Hall and some of the other top players from last year who are no longer on the squad. And Ian Campbell, the senior, gets Oregon on the board.
Oregon's road to the semis, 4-0 in pool play. They won Pool D at the first round bye. They beat Texas today, wins over Rutgers, Wilmington, Florida, and Carleton.
I think before the pre-quarters, that Carleton-Oregon game may have been the best game in all of pool play. I mean, I tried to watch as many games as I could floating around, but I couldn't walk away from that one. You know, this Carleton team has gone through so much over the course of their season, more than any of us could imagine, losing 3 of their players in a car accident. And the jerseys that Carleton wore had the initials of the 3 guys who passed away. And to come out to Nationals and to take down UNC Wilmington in its first game and then take down Florida and Rutgers, then it was 3-0 Carleton against 3-0 Oregon. Carleton played Oregon down to the wire. Just one defensive break got Oregon the win, but you know, Carleton had a ton of respect already, but the way that program has handled itself over the course of the past few months, and it's really a tribute to the sport of ultimate, Wayne. The way the community rallied around Carleton College, a small school in Northfield, Minnesota that, you know, it has been such a backbone of our sport. It's been unbelievable. Makes me proud to be part of the sport too.
And those 3 Carleton players killed in a automobile accident in a snowstorm on their way to the airport to go to a tournament. A sad story for the Cut squad, who did make it on their way back to the national tournament.
I talked to a father of one of the Cut players, and he was saying that, you know, it's just been amazing how the team has come together and what they've gone through. There's Rawls looking to the end zone for the Colorado score. But, you know, the players still came to nationals to compete. The father told me that everything about this is a bonus, but the players didn't see it that way, and they battled. They ran out of gas in the pre-quarter. Here's Carleton College, the Cut. That was a great sky over Dylan Freechild. That doesn't happen to him very often. Ben Caffrey hitting Justin Lim. Lim, a sophomore handler on the receiving end there. And that was, you know, my favorite game to watch in pool play. It was such a high level of intensity, really good spirit, but also just a level of intensity that separated it from the rest of the pack.
Carleton has certainly had their successes in ultimate play over the years. Oregon too. And Oregon trying to get back into the championship game.
Well, here's the thing about the men's ultimate scene. Over the past 8 years, there have only been 4 champions. 4 different schools have won twice each. Florida won twice, and Pittsburgh won twice the last 2 years. Wisconsin and Carleton each won twice. We will have a new member of that last decade club this year.
You see it there, the 4 different champions over 8 seasons. As Evan mentioned, that will expand with a completely different Final Four. These 2 teams plus North Carolina and UNC Wilmington. Wilmington might be the surprise of the tournament as they toss it up. Freechild trying to chase it down, but he can't. And Oregon turns it back to Colorado. Freechild really put on the burners there, but couldn't track the disc down. Now Mamabird, 3 different goal scorers on their 3 points so far. Also 3 different players with assists in this first half for Colorado.
Oh, what a D. Coming through 2 black jerseys was Connor Matthews.
We've seen some incredible athleticism from Matthews in the early part of this game. Charlie Wilson-Moses looking for the score. It's right on the goal line. No point yet for Oregon. And no point at all as Slevin's throw gets knocked down.
Unreal. Oh, contact downfield. It was Stanley Peterson with a ridiculous hand block. And then Peterson took an elbow to the chest as he tried to make his deep cut.
Great play by Peterson right on the edge of the goal line. It looked like Oregon might have had a point. But Slevin wasn't quite in, trying to force it in.
The scouting report on Peterson is he's a crazy athlete. And this is what that means. Right on the goal line.
The hawk coming from Colorado. Mamabird with a 4-1 lead. Stanley Peterson with the reception. And yet another point early on for Colorado.
Stanley Peterson might be the least talked about great player in the men's game. You know, it's easy to get overshadowed by Mickle, but Peterson, just a junior, he could be a Callahan candidate next year. He's a great defender, usually on the other team's best player. And that goes for the club scene too. When he's playing with Bravo, he will guard some of the top players in the world on the Triple Crown Tour. That's a bookend for Stanley Peterson. That point belonged to him.
4 different players with goals, 4 different players with assists for Colorado. A great start in this semifinal for Mamabird. You mentioned, Evan, you wanted to see Colorado really take the reins as the #1 seed. So far, it seems they have.
Yeah, it's you know, I can't get past how disjointed it's felt with the Fruchter injury. I feel so bad for him, and I hope he's all right.
Fruchter was taken off the field. Could there be, we saw also Janis twist his ankle up. Any significance from going on a grass surface to this field turf?
Yeah, well, it's totally different. It's totally different. And the grass we played on at Heritage Oak Park was pretty thick. It was a pretty slow grass. This turf, you know, I walked on it before the game. Oh, there's a careless drop by Oregon. Ego can't afford more unforced errors like that. Otherwise, Colorado is going to really turn this into a laugher. You know, it's more fun to lay out on grass. The turf is obviously much harder, much less give. And it's much easier to get, you know, the grass and mud off you than those rubber pellets from the turf that linger in your shorts for days.
We saw an injury on the Oregon women's side in their semifinal win. Jessie Schaffner took a hard landing off the field turf, busted up her right hip. She left the game, tried to return,
it's a big
but ended up not returning.
It's a big storyline for tomorrow for the Oregon women. Will she be all right to face Ohio State? They're going to need her.
Women's final is set. Men's final will be after this set of semifinal games. Coming up after this one, North Carolina against UNC Wilmington. Mickle floats one up. Now Morrissey tries to finish the point for Mamabird, instead throws it back to Mickle.
Good teams are never afraid to give up yardage.
And Mamabird gets the point. A 5-1 cushion to start it off for Colorado.
Jimmy Mickle. You know, I'm not sure how I would go about guarding him. He's wide, he's flexible, he's got the throws, the low release flick, right on the money, threw it with some velo to make sure it got there.
Abel Janis is the one with the goal.
And Oregon's taking a timeout. Jay Jannon, the coach of Ego, trying to, you know, get them back into it. Jay Jannon, very much a player's coach, involved in some strategy. He's been playing this sport since, well, before most of his players were born.
Our final game tonight, the USA Ultimate College Championship men's second semifinal. Of course, you can watch that game right here on ESPN 3 and the Watch ESPN app at 8 p.m. Eastern as North Carolina goes up against UNC Wilmington. In the in-state battle there, Wilmington maybe with the upset of the tournament, beating Pitt.
Those are two of my old nemeses when I played at Wake Forest. Had a lot of memorable games with both those schools. You know, North Carolina probably would have been the #1 or the #2 overall seed here at Nationals if not for losing to UNC Wilmington in the Atlantic Coast Regional Final. USA Ultimate has a rule that the teams need to be seeded in order of the regional results. So Wilmington got boosted up, UNC dropped a little bit. That's going to be, you know, those teams know each other so well, Wayne. They've scrimmaged against each other in past years. You know, there was a time when UNC would not go to as many tournaments because they know they could just go scrimmage Wilmington and get a good competition. So it's going to be fiery. It's going to be feisty. There probably will be some observer involvement, but it's going to be fun. And, you know, UNC Wilmington is the wild card for sure. I think ever since the season really ramped up in January, people thought that Colorado and UNC were the top 2 teams. Obviously, Pittsburgh a factor as well as the 2-time defending champ. That Pittsburgh UNCW game earlier today, was something else. There were no breaks until the last point of the game on Universe at 13-all. And Pittsburgh had the disc on the goal line to score. Turned it over.
UNC Wilmington has 3 one-point wins in this tournament, including that victory today against Pitt. Now Oregon trailing by 4 here. We've seen them dip a little bit early on. How can they get back in this one?
It's going to be tough. You know, this is a time for Dylan Freechild to really step it up. And step it up is probably the wrong word. He needs to become more involved. You know, they're missing Fruchter, a guy that they've relied on. Oregon's not as deep and down the way they are.
Wilson Moses goes up top to Jack Slevin. He's in bounds. And Oregon gets a much-needed point.
And you'll see after this Oregon score, I mean, they're going to yell, they're going to shout, they're going to try to incite some enthusiasm for this upcoming D point, because that's how they're going to get back in this game. A little bit of a dangerous high backhand with not much room to spare, but it worked out. And Jack Slevin has stepped up through sectionals and regionals, and again here today. He's made some plays early to keep Oregon in the conversation.
Nice throw there from the senior Charlie Wilson Moses. A lot of these Ego players are Eugene natives. And Slevin, who gets the goal there from Philadelphia, but he got the pass there from Charlie Wilson Moses. It took Oregon a little while to really get rolling this season, Evan, as Jay Jannon explains how that happened.
The team is playing great. We feel like we've been on the rise all year. We had a hard year. We feel like we're peaking at this point. We really believe in how we're doing. We've been counting on the older guys, but everyone is stepping up. The older guys need to lead the team. Our O-line needs to lead the team, so that's who we count on, but everybody's stepping up.
Go, D!
They'll need to continue to step up today, down early. A 3-goal deficit. They need some stops on defense. Colorado has pretty much done what they've wanted offensively.
Looking for Mickle. That was not a great put.
And finally, something going Oregon's way on defense. Will Watkins tracking down the disc. Now Eagle will roll, looking for their 2nd straight point. The low release toss from Chappell. Mark Rawls trying to pick that one off, unable to, and now backward to Penner. Seems anti-productive to go back, but as you mentioned, good team's not afraid to get that extra space.
And really, it's just creating more space for yourself to succeed.
Chris Strub with the flick to Chappell. Now Flapple on the low release, little high, but a nice grab by Mario Bundy. Bundy being forced against the sideline. And a great catch inbounds by Brian Penner, keeping the possession for Oregon. Now the force on the sideline from Morrissey. Penner moves it up ahead. A chance here for Ego to pull within 2.
This would be huge to score on D without Freechild on the field. Oh my.
The hammer toss going backward. It might have been deflected. And Oregon botches it at the goal line.
It's a great word. They really did botch it. An opportunity wasted. It's a large chunk of yards on the underneath cut. All attained because Hidda Sneeder gave a really great deep cut.
Mark Rawls trying to track it down. Did he stay in bounds? He did not. He is out of bounds. Great effort by Rawls, but no point for Colorado.
I love this kid. He's 5'6", and he's so quick. He has great throws, and look at this effort. Yeah, he was out of bounds, but it was really close.
You did see Rawls' foot slip as he tried to make that catch at the end of the play. We talked about the field turf causing some havoc. What can they do from a cleat standpoint to try to offset the fact that earlier they were playing on very thick natural grass and now on this thin surface?
You know, I doubt very much that these guys brought multiple sets of cleats. It's possible that some of them did. But for the most part, it's play with what you got and make the best of it. I mean, I would go to tournaments where you'd be on turf some fields and grass the other fields. You just get used to it.
Oregon trying to score their second straight point. Unable to. A deflection goes to Colorado. There was some contact there as Mickle was faking a hammer. And
he calls a foul, but it really doesn't make a difference, except the players will have to get back closer to him. Doesn't appear like there was a stall count, so whether it's contested or uncontested, it's still coming in with Mickle in possession. Stall count at 0.
Now back to work. Everybody goes back to where they were, and Mickle resets the play. Gonna dump it off, and he does. Janis had that one deflected, but a nice diving stop. And Colorado maintains. Some legs getting tangled there, and Andrew Halpin hit the deck for Oregon. Great catch by Gleason after the initial tip. And there you see the bodies flying. Halpin going down after some leg entanglement.
It's like he got tackled.
It's a non-contact sport, folks. Although sometimes you see...
Technically a non-contact sport. Anybody who plays realizes that you'll get a bunch of bumps and bruises playing this game.
And Mamabird calls their final time out of the first half. Each team gets 2 per half, and then 1 for each side if there's an overtime. As Mamabird gets off to the early strike here, the 4-1 advantage to start it off. Each team has put up a goal since then. Oregon trying to settle things a bit, but we talked about that first possession for them. Gabe Fruchter getting injured, and it seems like that really set them back from an aggression standpoint. As we talk about Oregon and the type of team they want to have, Dylan Freechild, last year's Callahan Award winner, explains further.
I wouldn't say it's grown too much. I think we've had a lot of self-confidence. We're in a little bit different position than we were in years past. And I think we've really made that our identity. And, you know, we were just talking about we made that our identity. We've blown out teams. We've won in close games. We've had to break for half. Obviously, this is an offensive game. We've won it almost every way. But our team believes in ourselves, and we were pretty sure that we could do it. Maybe not 100% confident, but there were a lot of people saying that maybe we didn't deserve the 4 seed. And whether that was true or not, we were planning on trying to make it to Monday.
That's last year's Callahan Award winner Dylan Freechild. Jimmy Mickle winning this year. That was announced today, and Colorado gets another point. It was Mickle with the assist. And Mamabird leads by 4, their biggest lead so far.
I think Dylan Freechild's absolutely right about keeping their identity and proving some of the doubters wrong here at Nationals. They absolutely did that. But the question is, do they have enough firepower to hang with this Colorado team that is, you know, close to hitting on all cylinders right now, especially with Gabe Fruchter out? And Jimmy Mickle can do a lot. That's about as easy of a assist he'll get all day. Mickle was basically a household name by the middle of his freshman year, which is pretty unusual. I asked him what, if anything, he's improved from last year to this year, and he basically said he's improved his decision making, he's been a little more composed, and he's become a better leader, even though he's not a captain, technically. The captains of Mamabird, Pavel Janis, Todd Wolma, and Phil Sun, but guys like Tim Morrissey, Jimmy Mickle, Denny Beaches, Mark Rawls, Hidda Sneeder, obviously, I mean, this is a team that's full of depth, pretty much everybody relevant back from last year. And, you know, as I said before, they shrunk their team. They didn't take as many guys as they've had in the past because they want to keep everybody with a role. And they're a team that's kept it light. You know, I haven't seen the football out there today, but at most tournaments during the season, their head coach, Jim Shetler, would be on the sideline in between points. They'd be playing catch with a football. Jim Shetler said that's something that the team gave to him to try to settle him down. When you throw the football his way, it basically means calm down, coach. We got this.
Colorado has used 6 different players to score goals, 6 different players to assist on those goals. And on the jump toss, Oregon gets one back. And a point for the freshman Connor Matthews.
Charlie Wilson Moses, beautiful crossfield hammer going downwind. You know, a dangerous hammer at the other goal line turned into a mistake, but this time going up high for Connor Matthews. And Colorado, a team with no freshmen. Matthews, just a first-year player out of South Eugene High School. Same high school as Dylan Freechild and Charlie Wilson Moses, Garrett Chappell, Zach Meyer, Spencer Latarski. A lot of guys have stayed in Eugene to be part of Ego's program.
Boy, Matthews has shown an incredible leaping ability, the 18-year-old, the freshman. And he's been very good so far, a big part of this contest for Oregon so far.
And one other thing to mention, Oregon not only missing Gabe Fruchter, who went down with the injury in the first point, but arguably Oregon's second best player last year was Aaron Hahn. And we knew going into nationals last year, Hahn, then a sophomore, was going to spend this entire year abroad. So he's in France right now, I'm sure following along somehow. I know Oregon expects to have him back next year. He was the guy that would cover Jimmy Mickle. They're very similar players. Hahn, powerful, good throws, but an incredible deep threat. They miss him. They miss him very much. And I remember the scene at the end of the pool play game last year when Oregon beat Colorado 15-14. Hahn and Mickle embraced like they were brothers. Seconds after Oregon won on Universe Point.
A chance for Mamabird to extend their lead here. Stall count getting up there, but a point nonetheless. Burned into Tim Morrissey. And Colorado a point away from sending this game to halftime.
Once again, Beaches to Morrissey. Good patience, waited for a lane to open up. And, you know, I don't want to pick too many bones with Connor Matthews. He's played great, but this mark didn't really prevent that break at all. And that was an easy breakthrough for the score.
And now 7 different Mamabird players have scored. Morrissey's texting his mom right now, telling her about the goal.
Who checks their iPhone during the game? Put that thing away.
He's on the horn.
Is he tweeting after he scored?
His Twitter, I just scored. Hashtag Mamabird. So Colorado with the big advantage here. Again, first to 8.
If you're watching and you have Tim Morrissey's cell phone number, text him and tell him to get off his phone and start making some noise on the sideline.
First to 8 sends this game to halftime, and Colorado getting close. It has been all Mamabird in this first men's semifinal. The pull from Colorado. That one sails way out of bounds, so Ego will bring it up to the brick mark. Sort of an illegal procedure type of infraction.
Kickoff out of bounds.
That's Trevor Smith starting the possession for Oregon. A nice mid-level toss. Wilson Moses kicks it back up ahead. Looking for a point now. Oregon gets one. Very quickly and nicely done. It's Eric Norman who finishes the drive for Ego.
This is the type of flow that Oregon is capable of. Ego has not found its groove yet in this game, but this point could get him in a rhythm. And Colorado just basically didn't provide any defensive impediment to this score. Trevor Smith has had a nice weekend. A guy who has taken up an increased role, really making a difference as a senior. Also from Eugene, but he went to Churchill High School, along with Ian Campbell and Nick Heaton, fellow Churchill High products.
11 goals in this game. They've all been scored by different players. Each team has gotten a lot of their players involved.
That's a big part of how these teams get here. You know, every team at Nationals has some studs, but there's different caliber of great players. And if you have the depth and balance, it just makes you so tough to stop. I mean, that's an obvious statement. But both these teams, Colorado in particular, they don't have as many guys in the roster, but they don't have really any bottom end guys. Everybody in the roster contributes.
Now the halftime point for Mamabird. The Huck from Colorado, trying to track it down and making the catch, Denny Beaches. And Colorado executes the halftime point. They've doubled up Oregon in this first half.
Well, Mickle, powerful with his throws, not just with his cutting and skying. You can't ask for a better throw than this one. And Mickle's going to have a nice reaction at the end of this. He was fired up as the Bird takes half. An impressive business-like half from Colorado.
Colorado with an 8-4 advantage over Oregon. They were magnificent in this first half. And Mamabird trying to advance to the championship game. They won the title 10 years ago. And behind 2014 Callahan Award winner Jimmy Mickle, looking to get back to the championship game, where they will face a North Carolina school, either UNC or UNC Wilmington. That will be decided a little bit later on.
Colorado Mamabird player, won the Callahan in 2004 as well, Josh Richter Ackley. They won the Callahan, they won the championship. That has not happened all that often. And Colorado looking to do it in 2014.
An 8-4 lead for Mamabird. First men's semifinal, halfway done. Colorado doubling up Oregon. Colorado with an 8-4 lead over Oregon, halftime in the first men's semifinal here at Mason High School in Ohio, the site of the USA Ultimate College Championships. And in the first half, Evan, Colorado torching Oregon early and often. Mamabird getting on the board.
Yeah, balanced attack from Mamabird, led by the Callahan Award winner Jimmy Mickle, but Tim Morrissey was great. Denny Beaches made some plays. Pavel Janis went down early, but then he came back. Stanley Peterson as well was a difference maker. We jump into these highlights. Peterson up line for Morrissey, and then into the end zone, Beaches to get the scoring started. And then Mickle, just an easy dump swing. That's just textbook offense. There's nothing fancy or special or strategic about that. Basic, fundamental, ultimate. Colorado's done a little bit better, made some defensive plays as well, and hit some deep shots.
They were 3 for 3 on their Huck attempts at one point in the first half. That one connecting with Stanley Peterson, and Jimmy Mickle doing it all for Colorado.
And this is a beautiful throw. Mickle deep for Beaches.
Beaches had 2 goals, also had 2 assists. Mickle with a couple of assists as well. Colorado really spread it out. Beaches the only one out of 8 goals with more than 1. And Oregon's 4 goals also coming from 4 different players. Charlie Wilson Moses with a couple of assists for Ego. And the lead for Colorado early on as they're up 8-4 on Oregon. Down to the sideline with Oregon coach Jay Janet. And coach, really to start this game, Gabe Fruchter gets hurt. How's he doing?
I think he hurt his knee pretty seriously. He's really bummed out on the sideline.
How do you feel your team responded to that in the first half?
We're having a hard time with it right now, trying to get back into gear and get things rolling.
Do you try to rely on Dylan a little bit more with Gabe out to try to set the tone for you guys?
I think sometimes we have a problem of relying on Dylan too much. I don't think that's going to change any that Gabe's out. We just miss Gabe.
Second half, what do you try to do to make this deficit go away?
Try and stay steady on offense and claw back in it on defense.
All right, head coach of Oregon Ego, Jay Janin. Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
His Oregon Ego squad down 8-4 against Colorado. First semifinal matchup of 2 on the men's side today. North Carolina and UNC Wilmington waiting to play the winner of this game. Colorado with an 8-4 lead over Oregon in this men's semifinal. The USA Ultimate College Championships coming to you from Mason, Ohio, Mason High School. And Evan, Colorado with the early lead here, up big on Oregon. As we take a look at North Carolina and UNC Wilmington, they'll be matching up later in our men's bracket, the Final 4, with these 2 teams playing now, and then the other game later tonight between the 2 in-state rivals leading up to tomorrow's championship.
Yeah, you were just looking at Jonathan Nethercutt and an injured Ben Snell, 2 key guys on North Carolina's dark side. Snell will not play. Charlie Schaffner, another key guy for the Tar Heels dark side, banged up a little bit. And it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a slugfest with UNC Wilmington against in-state rival North Carolina. And they just announced the Women's Callahan Award winner here at Mason High School, and it's Ohio State's Cassie Swafford. And I think the voters got it absolutely right. She was the most spectacular player for the best team in the country in the regular season. She gets a hug from Sophie Darch. Those 2 are going to go head-to-head and battle it out for a national championship tomorrow. But Cassie Swafford and Jimmy Mickle, I think the 2 people that everybody expected to be Callahan Award winners.
You'll see the reaction of Cassie Swafford as she just found out that she indeed is the Callahan Award winner for 2014. The Ohio State players rush her for a congratulations, and in the women's bracket tomorrow, we'll see Cassie Swafford and her Fever teammates go up against Oregon Fugue with the women's title on the line. Cassie for Callahan, indeed, she got it. Cassie Swafford, congratulations, the 2014 Women's Callahan Award winner. It's 8-4 in favor of Colorado here over Oregon in the men's semifinal. Second half about to begin at Mason High School in Ohio. The men's semifinal, Colorado with an 8-4 lead over Oregon. And the pull to begin the second half from Dylan Freechild. Mamabird with the big lead and possession of the disc to start the second half.
It's obvious to say this, but a stuff and a score, an Oregon break would be just monumental for Ego's cause. Freechild on Mickle. Unable to stop the easy around. Now Mickle bolting deep. Freechild right behind him.
The flick from Rawls. Up ahead to Peterson. They move quickly. Sneeder dumps it back. They reset with Mickle. The swing pass finds its way to Beaches. Beaches goes to Rawls, and Colorado back on the board.
Beaches gets the assist, but Mickle gets the hockey assist, and this is a really tough throw. I can't fault Dylan Freechild for this mark very much. Great movement all the way around the field, and this time Freechild was in position to stop the around, and Mickle just gets this angled floaty backhand off anyway.
They made it look real easy there.
And there's not much purpose of a force if you can't hold the force. Basically 2 breaks in a row. And an easy force side front corner cut.
A 5-goal lead for Colorado is their biggest. Good day for Beaches. 3 assists, 2 goals.
Really an eye-opening conversation we had with Jay Janin. I mean, he was pretty honest. They didn't deal with the loss of Gabe Fruchter well. I think on the field and internally, physically and mentally. They've struggled without Fruchter, who you could argue is their second or third best overall player.
Take a look at what Beaches has done today, the senior. A chemistry major. Does chemistry help you in ultimate at all?
Absolutely. It's the entire game. I mean, not the periodic table of elements, but chemistry on the field is really what it's all about. The chemistry that Pittsburgh had the past couple of years was unparalleled.
Matt Bubernak knocking the disc away. And now Mamabird goes back to work with their defensive unit on offense. Harker with the huck. And Freechild able to save it for Oregon. The D there from Freechild.
And I also understand what Jay Jannon said when he mentioned that sometimes we become a little too Dylan heavy and rely on him too much. But you know, this is a point when the season's on the line and he is your top player, the top athlete, the top thrower, the total package. The disc needs to go through him, but he can't do it alone, that's true.
The sideline force there, and dumping it back to Freechild is Eric Norman.
That's the kind of layout that we're seeing from Colorado right now. A step away, but still giving up the body. That's when you know a team's feeling pretty good, pretty loose defensively. And they keep laying out like that, it's going to lead to some turnovers.
Let's come in 3. Yeah, we'll come in 3. Hold up, let's make sure everybody's set. Your check. 3.
Going for the long toss, Freechild's way. Some contact there, actually Eric Norman, the intended target. No call in the end zone, and Colorado will get the ball, get the disc back. Already up by 5.
That's a D. It's a fine defensive play by Jack Slevin. I beg your pardon, by Mamabird.
Jeremy Harker knocking the disc away, and now another huck attempt from Colorado. They've been awfully successful on these today, but not this time, as Fisher was the intended target.
And Freechild, he's only 5'10", but he plays much bigger than that. He's super squirrely as a handler, but he also just has ridiculous ups, reads the disc well.
Matthews forces it up. Dean Campbell. Now Campbell zings it ahead to Wilson Moses. He has a couple of assists today. On the hammer throw, trying for a third. And knocked away. Another good defensive play. Joey Carrera, a sophomore. Colorado's using their whole roster, it seems.
When you're up by 5 in the second half, you can open up the rotation a little bit. And that was the plan for the season. You have, just 21 or 22 guys on the team instead of 26 or 27. But a lot of veterans, a lot of team chemistry.
And a timeout here. You get 2 per half, and Mamabird using their first of the second half. Offenses have stagnated a bit. Oregon hasn't scored yet in the second half. 1 point for Colorado, but Mamabird continues to frustrate Ego.
And it's just hard to envision Oregon being able to grind out enough underneath cuts to get back into this game. It's not impossible, but it's hard to fathom.
Colorado, the #1 seed. They've had a great season, obviously, being the #1 seed going into this tournament. Jimmy Mickle, the Callahan Award winner. So what does it take for one of these 3 teams to potentially knock them off?
Well, Colorado's only lost 2 games all year, but one of those losses did come against Darkside, North Carolina, out at Stanford. That was a weird weekend. I think everybody expected to see Darkside and Mamabird in the finals of the Stanford Invite, and they ended up meeting in the quarters because Pittsburgh upset UNC in pool play. So they met in the quarters, and UNC won. That was right around the time of the Carleton tragedy, and there's also some crazy weather out there. They played in just ridiculous winds, so those results in those conditions very different from what we've had here in Cincinnati. And I certainly don't think either UNCW or UNC will be intimidated by Colorado. And Colorado's the favorite, but against UNC, probably not by a ton, and Wilmington's never lacked confidence ever.
Jockeying for positioning, Jesse Fisher, and now a huck from Colorado. Peterson trying to chase it down. And nice job redirecting around the defense as Matthews cut in front of him, but Peterson still unable to get to it. Tried the wraparound effort after Matthews boxed him out.
Yes, Colorado's opened up its rotation a little bit, but Colorado's missing some opportunities to completely put this game away.
Catch was made there by Norman, but a foul anyway. Doesn't affect the play. And the fouls aren't really held against them later. It's not like you can foul out.
It'd be interesting if you could, though. Something that I've talked about. What if you had 4 fouls per game? And you hardly would ever be in a situation where you would foul out, but you might. If you pick up your second foul, you'll play the game differently to avoid getting that third. It would take a lot of stat keeping and administration, but in the future, I think that's where the sport might be headed.
A disc sliding past the Oregon offense. And now Mamabird a chance for that 10th point. Janis starts the possession. Mamabird works it quickly. Fisher being pressured from the side. Left some opening in front. And Fisher gets it in. Now a chance
Too
for
much.
Colorado, but Janis no chance as the disc flew away. Well, it's just that right time of the day where the sun and the disc, that's a UFO. The disc and the sun just connecting here.
And am I right to say there were no special effects done on that by our truck? That was just the sun shining on the disc.
I have to send that to the Pentagon, make sure. A 5-goal lead for Colorado, only 1 point so far in this second half.
And this has been the longest point of the game so far.
Freechild has been fairly quiet, really more so because his teammates around him have been held down by Colorado. Charlie Wilson Moses fires ahead. Now Slevin zings it forward. And Freechild with a rare drop in the end zone.
Yeah, he's all out of sorts right now. It's funny, I was chatting with Jim Shetler before the game, the coach of Colorado and the Callahan Award winner in '97, and he said that just like 2014, during the second women's semifinal, it was announced that he won the Callahan. Then he went out and played in the semis with Stanford and said, these are his words, he played atrocious in that semifinal game. I think atrocious would be a little strong to describe Freechild's game, but he certainly made some uncharacteristic mistakes.
A floating hammer to Peterson, who flicks it forward. Colorado looking for a point. They get one. Joey Carrera with the catch. And Mamabird continues to pour it on Ego.
This is not the game that anybody had in mind. Colorado thought it would be much tougher than this. This was a long point, and Oregon had plenty of chances, but just giving it away. And finally, Colorado with some basic upline offense. Peterson connects to Pavel Janis, who's all right, and then the one more throw for the score. Colorado Mamabird has been at Nationals more years in a row than any other program. I believe this is the 16th straight year that Mamabird has been at nationals. You know, Carleton's had a great streak, but missed 1 year. Other schools have sort of gone in and out of the top flight conversation. Wisconsin's usually among the best for sure. Stanford, uncharacteristically missing nationals on the men's side this year. There's been some fluctuation in the Southeast. Got to give a shout out to the men of Georgia, who probably had the toughest elimination, losing 3 consecutive games to go. I'm sorry to rub salt in the wound, fellows, but you know, the men from Georgia had a great season and easily could have, you know, beaten Florida in the regional final, or Florida State, or Central Florida. You'll hear from the men of Georgia again.
Penner keeps it alive for Oregon, at least for the moment. A low throw toward Wilson Moses. And right back to Mamabird. Beaches starts it off. A soft toss back to Beaches. Swings it out, they swing it again. Now Mickle. Mickle and Beaches playing catch. Beaches looking for the point, and Colorado did not get it. It looks like it was juggled.
He's in.
And they will call it a point. Oak Nelson, the 10th different Mamabird player to score. It was a juggle, but he hung on.
Nelson, a local Boulder High School product. Part of his body was on the line, but his first point of contact after he secured possession was inside the end zone, and Mitch Dengler, one of the most veteran observers, right on top of it.
It stays like this, this may end up being one of the biggest blowouts of the whole tournament. 4 assists now for Beaches today.
Well, you know, it's too bad. I wish we could, you know, make this a Nintendo game and hit the reset button and have Gabe Fruchter be healthy and have Oregon not lose one of its top guys on the very first point. Was it the first throw or the second throw?
It was the first throw after the pull.
And if you joined us late, he sort of went up for the disc on the sideline, made the catch, and when he came down, his leg and cleat just sort of caught, and his knee bent at an angle that was not conducive to any sort of athletic endeavor for a while.
A good day for Beaches, 4 assists, couple of goals. Colorado has their biggest lead yet, up by 7. Oregon's gonna really have to flip this game completely around to have a chance. Freechild hucks it out of the reach of Connor Matthews. And Oregon has almost completely lost its spirit.
It's a game of rhythm. It's a game of chemistry. And when you're not in sync, it's really hard to push a button to get back on track.
Great ride for Oregon through this tournament, 5-0. They made it to nationals, into the Final Four last year as well. One of those 4 teams that has won the last total 8 championships. A successful program having an unsuccessful day, although they force a turnover. And now Oregon will try to work it downfield. Eric Norman. The force from right in front. And now Penner dumping it back. Jack Slevin downfield. And Oregon gets a point. You see the relief coupled with the frustration from Norman as he caught the disc and just flung it to the ground.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, Wayne. Relief coupled with frustration. You know, typically after an Eagle score, everybody runs onto the field. There's just an incredible energy. And this is more an exasperated sense of relief to just, we got one. That's their first goal in the second half after Colorado started with 3 straight. 8-4 at the break, now 11-5, Mamabird.
First of 15 advancing to the finals. The women's finals set earlier today. Ohio State will play Oregon tomorrow. Unfortunately for the Oregon men's squad, it doesn't appear they'll be able to join the women's team for a chance at a dual championship. Still time in this one, but Oregon's going to have to make it happen fast. Colorado needs 4 points to advance to the final. And for Mamabird, a team that has been to nationals plenty of times.
Yeah, this might be their year, you know. Mamabird has not won a championship since 2004. Colorado went back to the championship game in 2005, but lost to just an incredible Brown team led by Callahan Award winner Josh Zipperstein. I think you got to go back to 2007 with Wisconsin's Dan Heyman to find the last time the Callahan Award winner played for the national champ. It actually happened, what, 4 years in a row. Josh Victor Ackley in 04, and Josh Zipperstein with Brown in 05, Tim Garrett, Florida in 06, and then Dan Heyman with the Hodags in 2007. It's been a while, 7 years since the Callahan Award winner and the national champion coincided. Jimmy Mickle has a chance to add himself to that very short list of ultimate greats.
Such a big lead for Colorado, and they've dominated this game. Is it possible for them to lose a little focus here and allow Oregon back in?
You know, I think the big thing is losing focus and interrupting their mojo for tomorrow. You know, I'd find it hard to believe that Oregon's going to go on a 10-3 run against this Colorado team, the way things are going. But, you know, if Colorado allowed Oregon back in and won this game, say 15-11, that would give UNC and UNC Wilmington a lot more hope for tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to happen. This Colorado team is on a mission, and Mamabird's going to play on Memorial Day Monday here in Mason. I am confident of that.
Well, you said they hadn't quite made a statement yet as the #1 seed. They're making it today. And Colorado, it's Jimmy Mickle, picks up the disc, floats it on to Denny Beaches, his 3rd goal today. And a dozen for Mamabird, a 7-point lead.
You know, I was chatting with Dylan Freechild about the Callahan Award in general, and he made a comment that, you know, in this day and age, the Callahan Award is mostly about who has the best highlight video on YouTube and who chooses the best music. You know, Freechild had a great video on YouTube. It's still up there. I watched it the other day. Some incredible plays from him. Jimmy Mickle's video's not bad either.
For Colorado, 9 points allowed to Eastern Michigan in pool play. That's the fewest goals they allowed at any point so far in this tournament. But Oregon would really have to turn it up just to get to 9.
It was Matt Bubernack who put the Colorado Callahan video together, his PR campaign, helping Jimmy to hoist the trophy.
Yeah, Micklemania. It worked out today for Jimmy Mickle. Callahan Award goes to him. Cassie Swafford on the women's side from Ohio State. We'll see both Callahan Award winners, it looks like, tomorrow. Nice grab by Charlie Wilson-Moses for the goal. Again, that same reaction from Oregon after a point at this point. He's kind of flipping the disc away, disgusted.
Not sure he liked the throw when it left his hand. Look at that reaction. Ian Campbell didn't even see his teammate Wilson-Moses make the play.
I mean, for a team that just scored, Campbell was not happy with the throw. Wilson-Moses not happy with anything right now. 2 assists and a goal today for him, and Oregon still down big. trying to make it a valiant effort here toward the end as they try to interrupt Colorado, which has been a steam engine in this game. Ever since the beginning, they jumped out to a 4-1 lead, and it has not been that close since.
This looks like the top offensive line here for Colorado. I'd be surprised if many of these guys played another D point, but they'll take the field on offensive points. And that pull is OB.
Colorado will bring it to the brick mark. Sophomore Mark Rawls. Rawls gives up a lot of size out there at 5'6", but still one of those tried hard type players out there on the field. As Mickle works against Freechild, the last two Callahan Award winners toe to toe. Beach is being pressed along the sideline. The force from Brian Penner, and it looks like there was some contact there.
We should mention that the Callahan Award, basically the Heisman Trophy for Ultimate, the National Player of the Year, named after Henry Callahan, who is a great ambassador for the sport. It's only been given out since 1996, so this is the 19th year of Callahan Award winners, if I've done my math correctly, which makes 38 different Callahan Award winners from the men's side and the women's side.
Almost a great catch by Jack Barrow to keep that possession alive. There's also a play in Ultimate called a Callahan. We haven't seen that this weekend. Probably won't. It's a very rare play.
The very first Callahan Award winners in 1996, Keith Monahan from Oregon State University, and from the University of Pennsylvania on the women's side, Val Kelly. And then the second year, Jim Shetler, who's currently coaching Mamabird, took home the hardware playing for Stanford. He had a great club career with Jam, played briefly with Johnny Bravo at the tail end of his elite playing days. An injury here is Oregon's Ian Campbell shaken up on the near sideline. Looks like just a cramp. Hopefully that's all it is.
A warm day, second game for each team, and the women's semifinals earlier, they played much closer to the end of their quarterfinals. Would you say when you play in the morning and then you play again in the evening, is that more of a disadvantage or less of one than what the women went through?
You know, it's interesting. It's basically two completely different days for the men's. You know, they played at 8:30 this morning and then 5:30 and 8 o'clock. They're able to go back to the hotel, shower, eat, maybe get in a nap, maybe get in a film session, a scouting report. It's you know, very different from the women, who basically had to come straight over to the field, especially who played in semifinal number 1, Ohio State, and with Washington.
Yeah, really a true doubleheader for the women's teams.
But that's not uncharacteristic of what most tournaments are like over the course of the season. So it's probably more of an adjustment for the men to have the long break. You play at 8:30, and then for the teams from the Tar Heel State, they play, you know, 10 hours after their first game wrapped up.
North Carolina against UNC Wilmington, the last semifinal matchup coming up later tonight on ESPN3 as Oregon gets another point. Will Watkins, the junior, makes the catch.
Watkins, a guy who will be back for Ego next year, presumably. Jack Slevin will be back. Chris Strubb will be back. This is a team with a lot of veteran players. Some may be back as a grad student for a 5th year of eligibility. It's going to be interesting to see how Oregon handles the loss of Dylan Freechild, the other seniors on this team that are going to be stepping into the club circuit after this year. Rhino, the top club team in the Eugene area, did not qualify for nationals last year. Probably one of the best teams that didn't qualify. certainly a team to look out for with, you know, Oregon in the Eugene area, Portland just having so much ultimate talent, really the entire Pacific Northwest.
Colorado, the #1 seed in the tournament. Had only 2 losses all season until San Diego bounced them in the last game of pool play. Both of those losses in the same day. It's funny, both #1 seeds, men's and women's, with only 2 losses entering the tournament, and both in the same day.
The time of the game where I think everybody wants to catch a deep shot. Now, Colorado basically staying in its offense. Wes Chow hitting Mark Rawls. But, you know, Colorado's really selling the deep shots. Everybody on the field has faked a deep shot or two this point.
Oak Nelson has to lay out to keep the possession alive. Colorado with a little more pep in their step on this possession, as Oregon has scored 3 of the last 4 points. Peterson broke for the end zone, didn't get the toss though. This time he does. Now Colorado with a chance to score. They burn it into Mark Rawls. And a point for Mamabird, 2 away from the finals. Rawls gets his 2nd of the day.
That's the kind of point that we really have only seen from Oregon once or twice in this entire game. Smooth offensive flow, patience around the end zone, just working it from sideline to sideline with dump swings, large chunks of yards, gain on the underneath. That point has to make Jim Shetler really happy, because that's the type of point they're going to need tomorrow, just to grind it out against whichever team represents the North Carolina Conference in the AC section, the Atlantic Coast region, in the finals tomorrow.
Both of Rawls' goals coming in this second half. It's been all Colorado today after a 4-1 start to this one. Mamabird has never led by less than 3. And now 2 points from a trip to the finals.
Wayne, I think people would be curious to know from you your first impressions of the sport of ultimate, you know, really diving in for the first time, doing a fine job. And, you know, what surprised you about what you've seen over these past couple of days?
I guess the athleticism. These guys really are very athletic. I mean, Connor Matthews, we've seen his incredible leaping ability. I guess also when you see the top players, no matter what sport you're covering, they always stand out. And guys like Mickle, Freechild, even in the women's side, we saw Paige Soper earlier and Sonny Harris, players that really stick out among the rest, and how calm they are in the presence of big moments. Colorado trying to advance back to the finals, looking to win their first final in 10 years. See if Norman can catch up with this one. A sliding attempt and a grab from Eric Norman.
Norman from Monarch High School in Colorado. Went to the same high school as Matt Buberneck and Andrew Commander, a couple Colorado Mamabird guys. Mamabird's going to have bragging rights, but at least Norman finds the end zone here.
Our final game tonight, the USA Ultimate College Championships men's 2nd semifinal. You can watch it right here on ESPN3. And watch the ESPN app at 8 p.m. Eastern. North Carolina versus UNC Wilmington. Wilmington maybe with the surprise victory of the tournament earlier, beating Pitt, the defending champions in the quarterfinals. And now there will be a new champion for the first time since Pitt won its first of back-to-back titles in 2012.
North Carolina has never won the whole thing. Wilmington has.
1993, UNC Wilmington winning the trophy.
It'll be either a first-time champ in dark side, or UNC double win it for the first time in 21 years, or Colorado will hoist the trophy for the first time in 10 years.
An open target downfield. And Mark rolls with his third goal of the second half. Colorado's 1 point away from the final.
The teams in this tournament scout well enough to know that you can't underestimate this little guy. Mark Rawls, you know, compared to some of his teammates like Jimmy Mickle and Stanley Peterson, he just looks like a kid out there, but he has the quickness and poise and maturity of a vet.
Sneeder connecting with Rawls for the second straight time. And Colorado, who has controlled this game pretty much from the outset. They've never trailed. They scored the first 2 points. And they've been slick with the disc all throughout this game.
You know, it's just disappointing because Oregon just did not have its A game today. And taking down Texas this morning, maybe that took something out of them. Not sure. The game against Carleton may have taken something out of them too, because that was just a heck of a battle. It may have gone the other way if Carleton had had Jesse Bolton, one of its top players for cut. Bolton injured his foot earlier in the day and did not play at all. Carleton undermanned and still battled. Ran out of gas in the pre-quarters against the Hodags.
That horn is for the soft cap. But that's pretty much irrelevant at this point. Colorado's a point away from victory anyway with a big lead. First to 15 proclaims victory. And to do that, Oregon would need a 7-0 run. Trying to get one here with Freechild. Looking to tip it back in. That's called a greatest if it would have worked. But nobody there to be on the back end of it.
I look forward to the next time Dylan Freechild gets a chance on a national stage, because he is an animal of an athlete. It was a lot of fun watching him play last year, leading the #1 seed Oregon that just ran into the Pittsburgh buzzsaw in the semis.
Sounded like the Colorado fans are chanting overrated at Oregon. I think they'd be overrated. Colorado's #1.
It minimizes your accomplishment to declare the team or the player that you're beating overrated. It's a silly chant. And, you know, there's nothing about Freechild that's overrated. He just didn't have enough firepower around him, and everybody's entitled to a bad day.
It's been a horrendous day for Ego. All Mamabird in this one, and now with game point. A trip to the end zone equals a trip to the finals. Colorado looking for its second national championship.
If you think Dylan Freechild's overrated, go watch his Callahan video from last year. The plays he made, one of the best in the men's game all time.
One throw here might do it. And there it is for Colorado. Matt Gleason catches the goal that sends Mamabird to the finals. And a chance for their first title in 10 years. Colorado with their largest margin of victory in this tournament. And it comes in the semifinals against Ego, and here's how they finish it.
Well, this was a convincing win from start to finish, Wayne. It really was. Jimmy Mickle and Mamabird. About an hour after finding out that Mickle won the Callahan, Mamabird delivers his finest performance of a tournament.
Jimmy Mickle and the #1 seed, Colorado Mamabird, heading to the championship game tomorrow. A hug for Gabe Fruchter, who came out of this game very early. You see the sportsmanship in the game of ultimate. For Colorado, a chance to make themselves a national champion tomorrow. 15-8, they beat Oregon. Mamabird advancing. They'll play either North Carolina or UNC Wilmington for the crown tomorrow. The USA Ultimate College Championships have been presented by the Discraft Ultrastar, official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, America's most competitive and prestigious series of ultimate tournaments. The US Open Ultimate Championships and Convention, a gathering of the international ultimate community to celebrate character, community, and competition this July 4th weekend in the Twin Cities. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of ultimate in the United States. To learn more about ultimate or find out where to play in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Colorado advances to the finals 15-8. They beat Oregon. Mickle Mania indeed, running wild in Boulder as Colorado moves on to the finals. And Jimmy Mickle, the 2014 Callahan Award winner, joins us. We'll get to the award in a minute, but most importantly to you, I'm sure, in a trip to the finals, how much are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Really looking forward to it. Haven't really thought about it yet. I mean, kind of embracing, take a couple minutes to soak this all in, enjoy this victory. I'm sure in about half an hour or so we'll kind of refocus on it tomorrow. So really excited to still be working towards our goal this season. So.
Hey, Jimmy, congratulations. Can you put into words what it felt like to hear your name and to hoist that trophy?
It was a huge honor. It's something it's been a goal of mine, and it's an honor to bring the Callahan back to Colorado. I feel like there's been a lot of deserving candidates throughout the years, and I'm glad I get to be part of Mamabird's rich history. So,
what made this win seemingly so easy for you guys today?
I think we did a good job of coming out strong. We put Oregon on their heels early, and it took the pressure off our offense, so we could just kind of play loosely and run how we should run it. So going up early was definitely a big key.
Jimmy, a lot of ultimate players have somewhat of a divisive, intense personality. You're intense, but it seems like everybody loves you. How are you so easygoing and friendly to everybody?
I think through the years I've kind of learned that I'm doing this because I really love it. So sometimes I forget that and need others to remind me, but for the most part, I'm out here doing what I love most. So it's hard to not have a good time.
Well, Mickle Mania's catching on. It says you're a prima donna on that sign back there, but I don't think so. Jimmy Mickle, the Callahan Award winner. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Colorado gets the win, 15-8. They knock off Oregon. We take a look at our Discraft play of the game. And really, Evan, it's just Colorado working their offense early in the second half, their first goal of the second half, and this is how they pretty much did it throughout the day.
Yeah, you know, Mickle Mania leads to spectacular plays at time, but it was really Colorado that was just solidly spectacular today. Just efficient offense. They didn't need any highlight reel stuff from Mickle or really the other stars, just because they were able to work the disc. Basic ultimate offense. Dump swing, Mickle with a nice break around Freechild, and easy to the end zone. Our Discraft Ultrastar play of the game. A microcosm of Colorado's success this season, this weekend, and in the semifinals as they head to Memorial Day Monday.
They are the #1 seed. They are in the final game, and they will play either North Carolina or UNC Wilmington. That in-state rival matchup still coming up tonight in our second men's semifinal, and Colorado awaits the winner tomorrow afternoon. For Evan Lepler, I'm Wayne Randazzo, saying so long from Mason High School Stadium in Mason, Ohio. Again, the final score, Colorado 15, Oregon 8. To watch this entire game on replay, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Thank you for watching, and this has been a presentation of ESPN.